Hi everyone, and welcome for another video on financial independence and index investing. I share my knowledge because I want people to take control of the finances so they can live more and give more. So it's basically as a way to improve your life and improve the lives of others. Today, I want to talk about three things that completely changed my path to financial independence, and basically three very major things in my own life that accelerated my path to financial independence. And so those three things are working as a team with my partner, so my wife in this case, aiming to provide the most value, and then doing work that other people find difficult. So these are three things that really turbocharged my path to financial independence and allowed me to not be dependent on my income at the age of 32, and I really quit my job at 33. Um, that was 2 years ago. Anyway, so working as a team with your partner. For me, I was very lucky that I met my now wife, but back then not wife. I just met her, Dorota. Um, when I was in this phase where I was discovering all this, and I was really digging and trying to understand how index investing works and how we can plan for financial independence, and trying to see who's doing it and how I could replicate that, and how my life and the things in my life will be influencing that. And so it was a big part of what I was thinking about. And I met Dorota, my wife now, around that time, and I was sharing that with her because it was important to me, and I thought she might be interested. And I was really lucky that all of this resonated a lot with her because we basically had very similar values when it comes to our lives. And so we valued, spending time with people we love far more than any material things. And we saw money as just a tool to get a few things done. And we were lucky enough that we had learned how to save a bit extra, right? And we knew that we could use this for, say, the rainy days and to prepare for pensions and all this. And so that was super important, I think, in my journey. There's no way all of this would have worked out if it wasn't for her. Um, so we were tracking our expenses together. We were managing our investments together. We were very transparent quite early on. Yeah, quite early on. And we worked on our life plan together, right? Obviously we still do. But having that solid foundation in terms of the values that we share, the common purpose that we have, and how we see money as a tool in our life to just make it better and then help others. Just being aligned on all that um, made everything else completely natural and almost too easy in the sense that we were not fighting against someone else. We were not fighting. We had an ally from the get-go. And so that really helped a lot. So if you're not speaking about money with your partner, I think this is an essential step. If you really aim for financial independence, you have to be aligned. And if you don't have a partner, then like I don't know how I would go about it because I'm past that stage. But I think I would try to discuss the idea of financial independence fairly early on, just to have a sense of whether you have similar values. Because unless it's someone who completely love his or her job, then there's a good chance that they will want to have some sort of flexibility and freedom at some point. And so when that is in place, then a lot of other things sort of fall into place as well. Another thing that really helped me is that at work I was aiming to provide the most value and have the highest impact possible. So I've always aimed for impact, and for me, from my youth, I thought that this would be related to protecting the planet in one way or another. And so I studied construction more because there was no other really interesting topic back then in engineering, quite strangely. And then I studied again for basically specializing in sustainable energy, and so renewables, energy efficiency, and all of that. And then I aimed to work on bigger and bigger projects. So I wasn't happy working on single buildings, and then I moved to working on groups of buildings, and from there I worked into specific technologies, but I would be distributed on lots of buildings, and then entire sectors, and then climate change issues, and then national programs, right? So gradually I was trying to get my impact higher and higher, and I was basically going after the bigger projects possible, and I was making myself very clear with my employers that I was interested in, maximizing my impact. And so um, they kept giving me the biggest challenges, and the biggest challenges that I could handle. I was fairly young, right? But then they gave me big challenges. I delivered, I gained trusts, and then it increased my value in the eyes of my peers and in the industry. And so I was given bigger challenges. And so it's kind of a positive snowball effect where I was recognized as someone very young who was able to deliver on some of the hardest stuff, right? And so I ended up signing some of the biggest deals that we've ever had in the Middle East and Africa region. Actually, the biggest for all the time that I was there. And I was managing the largest teams on the largest projects for the highest level clients, all the way to going and presenting in front of some of the most powerful people in that region on their energy efficiency strategy. So I think I had a positive impact on helping mitigate climate change, and sort of increasing my reach by aiming for large scale projects and high impact things. So that definitely helped me in terms of the career, right? Moving upward. And I wasn't focused so much on the career, I was focused on trying to increase my impact. And so the career sort of naturally followed. And I was quite often the youngest guy in the room when big decisions had to be made around, the project and different things, the strategy on, the energy strategies, etc. So that helps, obviously, with financial independence, because, when the career goes up, then sort of the pay follows, right? Now, obviously, that's not the only reason my pay went up quite high, because in the end, what helped a lot it was both me and my wife working on our sort of finances together, and so controlling our expenses, but also, being able to grow your income. So for me, that played a big role. And I think for the people who are retiring very early, it's often because they have a pretty high income, right? So, and as I said, I worked in the Middle East, and so that definitely made a big difference. But I would say that the third thing that really helped me reach financial independence is I was willing to do work others weren't. So things that were difficult. Actually, moving abroad is something that's quite difficult, because you do have to make some sacrifices, and not everyone is willing to make the sacrifices to move to a place where maybe you have more opportunities, right? And if you carry that throughout your career, and you're willing to take the hardest job, taking responsibility, taking care of the problems, actually working on the biggest problems that you can solve, and continue solving them, well, that leads to more and more respect at work as well, more value, right? So this is combining providing the most value, working on the stuff that's the most difficult for others, and I guess having a willingness to sacrifice some things for others, right? So there was a point in my career where things were very, very hard, and I would work really long hours away from my family, but also away from my wife. So within the region and not being home, right? Working on some of the toughest projects and toughest clients, and being sent to solve the biggest problems we had, sort of as last resort, or being called back into, scenarios or situations that were really, really difficult, and then having to find ways to fix them, right? So that obviously came with a lot of pressure. But I knew I was doing this for a finite time, right? So I knew I was doing this for just a few more years. And so I was willing to take it because I knew it wasn't forever. There's no way I could have sustained this kind of pressure for a long time. And there's several times where I was at the limit of just quitting because I had financial freedom, so I had the options to actually leave. But then I was just a few months away, so I just kept going, and until we actually left. And what was funny about all this is that as I was providing value, every time I was getting a pay raise or some kind of bonus or something, I know that the employer was doing that to keep me in, because the chances that the competition wanted me was pretty high, and also because the work was so hard that they knew I had an incentive to leave, and so they were increasing the pay so that I could leave. I would stay. But really, every time they increased, it just made my whole FI date closer. So the time at which I would leave was getting closer and closer. So it worked really well for me from that perspective. So I got lucky, I would say, but I worked hard, and um, I think that's really important. So there's two aspects to this. Obviously, it's work hard, be smart, provide high value, be surrounded by the right people. And so your partner is the person you'll be spending most of your life with, and that's super important. And I didn't choose her for that. It just happened that we had all of this in common, and we clicked on almost all the other things too. So again, very lucky and very grateful that that worked out for us, and allowed us to live this incredible life today, right? So um yeah, so these are the three things that really transformed my life and allowed me to achieve financial independence so much earlier. And today we have the chance to be able to spend time with our son and just family, and um, in a way that wouldn't be possible otherwise. So yeah, work as a team with your partner, aim to provide the most value, and be willing to do work others find difficult. I think these are three big lessons, at least from my experience. So anyway, I hope this helps you um, um, find fulfillment and happiness, and maybe financial independence is part of that answer. Right, that's all for today. Take care. Good night. See you next time.